Hey, and we're live. So welcome to Been Around the World podcast, episode 4. This time I'm trying something a bit different. I'll be back with my usual catch up with Dan next Tuesday. But this time around, I'm speaking to Alex on Instagram as Prestige WorldRide. I think one of the coolest things about cycling around the world is just meeting random people along the way. And Alex and I have never actually met in person, really enough, but we're both cycling around the world in our own special ways. So Alex is joining me from a very surprisingly clean hotel. Whereabouts are you now, Alex?
I've forgotten the name of the town, but it's basically the border between Thailand and Malaysia. So I cycled from Phat Halong today, so about 165 kilometers to the border, and then tomorrow I'll set off. But thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm excited. I've listened to so many podcasts along the way. I feel like, I've been trained.
Absolutely. Well, to kind of go back to the start, I think it's always interesting for people to know. The question I get a lot as well is like how you got into cycling in the first place and into the adventure side as well.
I mean, cycling in the first place was really because of Chris Hoy I think it was the 2008 Olympics. I think he won 3 golds in that, and the next one as well. I think he won 3 golds also. So how old was I then? I was 12. Was I? No, I done my maths wrong. No, I was 14.
Nice.
And so I just decided, like, I'm going to save up for a bike. I thought it was the coolest thing ever to see guys going that fast and winning like that. And so I saved up for a bike, which I then broke my collarbone on that bike. So that went. That was what really got me into just like cycling in general. And then that sort of changed to triathlon. And the adventure thing for me is I enjoy the adventure thing, but I kind of enjoy the endurance side of it a little bit more, I think.
Right. So are you part of a club back home, the triathlon?
No, I'm not. I'm a bit of a weirdo, sort of lone wolf. I just train kind of on my own, go swim on my own, cycle on my own. Sometimes I've got a couple of mates, T-Hook, who comes with me, old Matty. They come with me for, a few rides and things like that. They rode the first day of this around the world thing with me, which they didn't.
They didn't, no.
No, it was hot and horrible. Cycling through Staines Staines near Slough. Cycling through there in 28. No, it's not a cycling place at all. No.
It must have been good to ride out with friends, though. I managed to have a couple of friends and my sister join me as well from the ride out from London. Ours was, it's the same thing, like riding through the centre of a city and out into the outskirts. Actually worse, I think. But it's good to have that. Yeah, how far did you do on that first day? Because you were doing some crazy distances, right?
The first day was 65 miles. So that was a couple of guys I work with, a guy who sponsors me, and then it's Cosmetic Courses, Adrian Richards, and one of his mates. And then 3 of my mates came as well. One was very hungover, turned up without a bike helmet, and was just like, okay, we'll just try and sort it out. And he did. He was very hungover, but made it all the way.
So real motley crew.
Yeah, it was a real mix. And people that peeled off at different points, but 4 of us went all the way to London from Oxford. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, that first day didn't seem. It was great to have them with me, but it didn't really feel like it started yet. So I wasn't out on my own. I was still, with my mates. And the next day as well, I stayed with people that they're sort of like friends of my family. It didn't really feel like I started until I got to Calais. Did you? I'm assuming you crossed in Dover.
Yeah, I crossed over to Calais as well. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because for me, it actually took a bit longer to sink in. I think the first, I think when I was alone, that first time was a real like emotional moment. But then I was still kind of in the. There was just so much to think about, so much to do. It took a few weeks for me to kind of realize that I was going further and further away from home.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
Did you have a moment really far away from home?
Yeah, that was, to be honest, when I saw the white cliffs of Dover drifting away. I think that's probably a classic thing for anyone leaving from the UK to do a long journey. To see those go into the distance was like, I'm not going to see that for 10 months. Yeah, it was that was a weird feeling. And then when I got to France, I mean, that's when like the emotion of planning this for however long, for like a year, and dreaming of it for 8 years or whatever, that's when all that emotion just crashed down. And I spent like a week just trying to put in big miles, cycling 90, 95 miles a day.
Wow.
Every morning I was waking up in my tent, like in this sweaty tent, because it was like, that was the heat wave sort of time in Europe. I just woke up, packed my tent up, put it on my bike, and then I would cycle for 20 minutes and just start crying. It was the best thing ever. But yeah, honestly, it was like the third day for me when I crashed. Where were you when like you were like, oh, I'm actually really far away from home?
I think mine was when I got to like northern Croatia, and it was just completely swarmed. It was like not the part of Croatia that you associate with, holidays, beach holidays, all this amazing stuff. It was just super poor flatlands. I went around a corner and a bunch of kids threw stones at me, and then I slept at night by this quarry, and just got swarmed by mosquitoes. Like, I met this German guy. Interesting you said that. The next day, he was there with his wife, I think, and he said that they'd like sprayed the whole area with like military planes to kill the bugs, but that had just killed all the big bugs, and so all the small bugs had just risen up. So it was absolutely awful.
Oh no!
I've got a bivvy as well, so no space and no air. So I have to eat outside, and then I was laying down at with some daylight left, and just swarms of bugs on the top, and I was just like, what am I doing? Why am I here?
Yeah, I thought about using a bivvy, but I don't know, I kind of wanted a bit more space, I suppose, because they're really cramped. You have to just get in and accept your fate that you're going to be lying there like that for however many hours.
Yeah, I'm slightly regretting it in India as well. I mean, I've only ridden here for 5 days because I'm just sitting on the beach working at the moment until January, but I'm doing things like this. But yeah, the nights that I've camped out so far, there's no air at all in there, and you can't eat in there because you're laying down. So I'm kind of rethinking that now, but especially I was saving weight. But my bike, my kit was when I flew from Georgia to Mumbai. I weighed 52 kilos, but your whole kit is like 8 kilos or something, right?
I thought it was going to be, but I think so. My bike is 15, and my kit actually turned out to be double that. My kit was, so my total weight I think was 32.
Okay,
so my kit, I'll double that. I don't know why I naively thought that I could just not even have the panniers on the side, just have like a tent and then a seat bag. But I don't think you can do that for an entire year. Well, you could do, but you'd be living a quite expensive life, living in hotels or being miserable all the time.
Yeah, the credit card style touring, that kind of thing. Yeah. So out of the stuff that you brought with you, is there stuff that you've got rid of, or stuff that you just really wish that you brought?
For me, when I'm going up a hill, all I can think about is what I have in my bag, and it just plagues my mind every time. So I never miss anything. I never think, oh, I wish I had that. Sometimes I wish I had a good camera. I just use this Chinese phone or the iPhone. They don't always capture great images, but I threw away my stove in the first few weeks. I've thrown away a few clothes. I threw away a selfie stick. I have no idea why I brought that with me. I have no idea. That was just completely useless. Threw away. Actually, I was reading. Mark Beaumont, the guy that last year cycled around the world in 80 days.
Absolutely, yeah. When we talk about inspirations, earlier, he's definitely one of my top inspirations for this trip.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mine too. But I was reading his book along the way, and I was so like focused on the way. No offense, Mark, if you ever watch this, every page that I read, or say I sat down for like half an hour, read 20 pages, I would rip those 20 pages out and put them in the bin. And just think, yeah, that's a bit of weight safe there, like one
nice.
gram. So I'm a bit weird about weight.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's quite a big book as well, so losing pages as you go is probably saving a bit of weight.
Exactly. Have you read it?
I've read it. Yeah. I've still got it, slightly water damaged copy back at home, which I've taken out on various trips.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even. I know you have a support team and everything like that, but I can't imagine cycling 400 kilometers a day for 78 and a half days or whatever it was. That's just, I just can't imagine ever doing that. It's too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, like between me and you, I feel I've got a similar kind of disbelief, because, you know, for me, I'm cycling maximum of sort of 6 weeks back to back with a few rest breaks there, but you've been doing a pretty solid pace, right? Because how long are you planning for this whole trip? Do you think it will take?
The whole trip, planned 10 months.
10 months.
Yeah, and the original route I planned was 21,500 miles. Yeah. I kind of planned that as a bit of a buffer, because to circumnavigate the world, you only have to do 18,000. So that, I mean, like Iran and Pakistan, I had to cut miles out there because I couldn't get the visa. It was somewhere else I cut miles out. I think Switzerland and Italy. I have to admit, I took a train across the Alps.
Really?
I did, yeah. I kind of regret that now. I was really worried about getting too tired, because it was at the end of France, and like emotionally, I was so drained. I didn't want to like throw myself into the Alps and try and do 100 miles a day there. But yeah, 10 months. I'm thinking to do 18,000 miles, and at the moment, I'm on track. It's 11,500 in the last 4 months.
Wow.
So I think mathematically I'm a little bit behind, but Australia is going to be like big miles.
Yeah. And so how are you pretty much going non-stop? Do you have time off the bike as well every now and then?
Oh yeah, I have time off every now and then. When did I have? I had 1 day off in Thailand to do laundry and stuff, because I got really disgusting. India, I didn't have any days. Oh, I had 1 day off for their Dasera, like their religious festival. So 1 day off through India. Yeah, it's just sort of every now and then. Like if I need to have a day off, then I kind of know. At the start, I was way too focused on like, stop being an idiot. You don't need a rest. Let's just go. But then I was doing less miles. I'd get to like 50 miles for the day and be like, I cannot go anymore, because I just fatigued myself way too much. But how much are you doing? Like when you have these 6 week like blocks, how much are you doing?
It varies a lot on the terrain. I'm sure you found this as well, but in Europe, I took a fairly flat route. I think my biggest climb was about 500 meters or something. So I was doing I did maybe 2 or 3 100-mile days in the whole thing, but generally I stick to about 120, 130 kilometers in Europe. And then now when I hit Turkey, that just went straight to like 90, 80 kilometers a day, just because the climbs were just unbelievable. And I took a very long route around the country, and there was certain things where there was just gravel tracks that were just totally like ungraded, just, you know, 10, 15% grading.
I avoided those gravel tracks through Turkey, but the hills, like it's actually a really long country. I didn't realize. Yeah. But the hills really, like, they really hurt. I don't know whether it was you or someone else that I saw posted something about, like, by the time they had got all the way through Turkey, they would have climbed Everest 3 times. Or
that was me.
Yeah.
It was something. Yeah, it was something insane. It was It was because how long is it? It took a month. So it must be 3,000 kilometers. something like 3,000 kilometers and 30,000 meters climb or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
more than 1,000 meters climb on average each day that I rode across Turkey, which, yeah, beautiful country. But yeah, then it took 6 weeks for me to get across Turkey, but 4 weeks to get across the entire of Europe. And if you look at it on a map, somehow it doesn't feel right, but it's, yeah, you're right. It's a very long country. Yeah. Motorbikes here. You tell I'm still in it. So out of the countries that you visited so far, what was the sort of the best experiences that you've had, the best countries, if you can group it to that level, or maybe just specific experiences in those countries that you really look back on and you're so thankful that you did the trip for?
Yeah. I suppose Azerbaijan was, no offense to any Azerbaijan people out there. I didn't think the country itself was very interesting. Like, they're not geared up for having tourists or things like that. But it's very flat. Like so I think it was 5 days through Azerbaijan, and it was 100 meters climbing, sort of average a day. You know, it was lovely. But the reason I liked that is because I'd been cycling on my own for so long. And then in Georgia, I met a German guy called Linus. And we decided he was going on the same route to Baku. And then he went down through Iran and I flew to India. But it was just really nice to cycle with someone for 5 or 6 days. Georgia, I just hit a real low point. I just hit like a real mental, like, what am I doing? This is, you know, but you just question everything and you're just, yeah.
What was it about Georgia that triggered that? Or do you think it was just a particular time in your fatigue level?
What was it that triggered it? I think it was I think it was physical fatigue, and also the fact I'd been sort of bullying myself to do miles. Like, the way I kind of think of it is, since Georgia, the trip has, you know, the challenge or the adventure has been mine, and I've done it the way I wanted to do it. Whereas I felt I put so much pressure on myself from Oxford or from London to Georgia that by sort of the end of Turkey and Georgia, I wasn't enjoying it, because I just punished myself so much, mentally, that is. So then, like, I think I had a week off actually in Georgia, because I just, like, I had come to the end of, like, my mental tether, basically.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, meeting this guy, and he was doing the same sort of mileage as me every day, and he was really, like, pumped, and we got on really well. So that was
how did it change your style?
Sorry?
And how did it change your kind of daily schedule, your daily style?
It just gave me more, like, so then when I flew from Baku to Mumbai, then I felt like it was kind of my adventure again. You know, I wasn't putting so much pressure on myself. Like, you have to be up at 6. You have to just, you know, if you're too late to get breakfast, you have to go. And I found, after taking all the pressure off, I was much more comfortable with doing bigger miles. Like, I found I was doing much more. I don't know what it was, like bonity. It just felt like I had control again. So that was a big bonus. And ever since then, I haven't really mentally struggled. Obviously, at times physically it's tough, but since that point, I haven't, you know, had a morning where I woke up and thought, I just don't want to do this. Every morning now is like, awesome, let's crack on. It's going to be a good day or a bad day or whatever, but, you know, it's going to be exciting nonetheless. There are so many people out there that may want to do something like this or explore the world in this way, because it's incredible to experience all of this. So I kind of realized how lucky I was that I have the chance now to do it. And I was kind of wasting that time before, focused on too many other sort of negative externalities, I guess. So
it's interesting that it took someone else's perspective to kind of bring that to your mind. It's interesting that helped.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say another positive was probably I don't know why. It's just because it might just be because it's fresh in my mind. But Thailand has been really awesome. Thailand has been because India and Bangladesh and Myanmar, they weren't sort of. I didn't find them very sort of accessible. I didn't find I found there was too much attention on kind of what I was doing. I found I wasn't like that comfortable with going and eating because 40 people surround you instantly the second you sit down. And I'm sure you know from being there, as soon as you sit down in a restaurant, you have got tons of people coming up to you asking for selfies and things like that. And then when I got to Thailand, I mean, there's a KFC every 10 miles. There's a Cafe Amazon or whatever they call it every 10 miles. And I've just been, if I'm honest, I've had one KFC every day while I've been at Thailand. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
High protein, high performance meal there.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable. You're coming through Thailand as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm here until the new year in Goa, and then I've got a 5-month visa here, so I'm going hopefully to the southernmost tip, and then up to Nepal, and then I'm actually really it's really helpful for me to follow you because I kind of left with no idea of a lot of the rest of the trip just because there's so many things involved, as I'm sure you found. But, and because I'm going a lot slower, I've got time to stop in each country and kind of plan the next leg. So I wasn't even sure how I was going to get out of India until I arrived here. Not sure I should have said that for the immigration service.
Yeah.
But really interesting to see that there's a route out to the east, and I've also had people say such amazing things about the kind of northeast of India as well, and I'm looking forward to Southeast Asia a little bit more. Did you have any trouble with border crossings and visas and bureaucracy and that kind of thing getting out of India?
I had no trouble with visas, but the bureaucracy is painful there. Like, as soon as I got to even like Myanmar, they just check it, stamp it, everything's fine, sign a little thing, away you go. It took 10 minutes. But every Indian border crossing, there was some issue. There was some like delay. Bangladesh, there was also the same thing. There was some delay. I don't know whether it's because they take their jobs too seriously or because they think that you're an actual threat. I don't know what it is, or they just want to keep you around. But Bangladesh, are you going through Bangladesh?
I'm not sure yet. I might be going more north to Bhutan, depending on whether you need access visas for that part of India.
Oh, okay. Well, I was India had put me in such a bad mood just because of the stress of not eating and trying to cycle, however many miles a day. So when I got to Bangladesh, I sort of remained in that bad mood. And then as I was leaving Bangladesh to go to that other sort of, that little eastern sort of hook on India, they tried to charge 500, I think it's 500 taka, I think they call it, which is like £5 for road tax.
Yeah.
And usually I think I'd be right with that. I'd be okay. I'd just like smile and pay it and whatever. But I was in such a bad mood, and I was so sick of the roads because the roads were just mentally bad. That I just like refused to pay. I was like, I'm on a bike. Why do I have to pay? What's the law? I don't see a law here that says, I didn't know. No one told me when I entered that I have to pay 500 at the end. And so they kept me there for 3 hours. And I was kind of arguing with me. I was arguing with them. We didn't speak each other's languages. It just didn't work at all. But after 3 hours, they were just like so sick of me sat there and all of these villagers, people from the village like surrounding the room, that they were just like, get out, go, just cross the border. We don't want to support that. So that was, I'm going to say that was a victory for me. I mean, at the time I was still so angry, but looking back,
that's a lot of commitment to stick it out. I would be running away from that situation.
I'm slightly embarrassed about it now, but yeah, it was good.
Have you had to do any haggling lately? Because I've absolutely suck at that. I'm terrible. Pay the price for everything.
Yeah. It's kind of an awkward thing to do. You got to go into it with so much confidence, don't you? I haven't done it in Thailand because they're just like they've got such nice smiles. They could they could ask me to pay anything almost, and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I believe you that that's the actual price. Not in India, a little bit. There were some things that, because in India it has that MRP, doesn't it, the maximum retail price on all the things. So obviously they see that you're a white guy, you haven't been here before or whatever. So I think sometimes they try to charge like double the price or something. I was like, no, it says it on the bottle.
Yeah. Although I got told in a restaurant the other day that doesn't apply there, but I need to look that up because I'm not sure if that was just an excuse.
Oh, what, it doesn't apply in the restaurant?
Yeah, because they charged me, literally, like you said, they charged me double for like a can of Fanta or something. And so it's written on the bottom. And he said, no. And I was like, it's against the law to sell it for more than that. And he was like, oh, not in restaurants. And I was like, oh. So
they love it.
There's always ways around it. That I failed at haggling there as well. So where are you heading next?
Where am I heading next? So tomorrow morning, I'm going to cross the border into Malaysia, and then I think it should take 2 days to get to Kuala Lumpur, and then from Kuala Lumpur down into Singapore, and then from Singapore fly to Perth. But I'm spending, my mate and his family are in Melbourne for Christmas, so my aim is to get there by the 24th. Okay. Oh, so you have Christmas with people you know. It's a good. Yeah. Mileage wise, it's going to be tough though, because it's about 4,000 kilometers from here. So if you take a day out for the flight, I'm going to have to average, like 190 kilometers a day. So that's an interesting challenge. Yeah, that's serious. Home there in time for Christmas. Yeah. And then from there, where are you heading? What's the round the world plan? So cycling to, actually, do you mind if I just use the toilet quickly? Yeah, no worries. I drank too much water. So let me share some photos of Alex while he's in the toilet. Let's see if this works. There we go. I'm enjoying Alex's little videos he does quite regularly on Instagram. It's well worth following. Hey. I was just showing your Instagram page while you were out. Let's see. Videos back. Cool. Plug it. Nice. So what's the rest of the week? Yeah, from here. So yeah, Singapore to Perth, and then cycle the south coast of Australia to Sydney. So I think about 4,000 kilometers. And then from Sydney, fly to Christchurch on the South Island of New Zealand. And then wow, so you're going to New Zealand? Yeah. Which I've only heard amazing things about New Zealand. I've never heard anyone that has been there say it's not their favorite country they've ever been to. Really? So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Land of the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'll be visiting. I'm not a big fan. But it's there, isn't it? So yeah, then from up the North Island to Auckland, and then from Auckland fly to San Diego, and cycle up from San Diego to Vancouver, and then from Vancouver to New York. So it's kind of up the west coast, and then stay in Canada for a little bit, and then drop down and go sort of through the north of North America and to New York, then fly from New York to Lisbon, and then Lisbon to Paris. The final leg, the final sprint, which I'm trying not to imagine too much. Yes. Trying to a lot of miles to go today. Yeah, it's an exciting thought though. Yeah,
yeah. Have you got anything planned for when you come back, or is that too far ahead to think about?
Yeah, I have been thinking. I don't, to be honest, I don't feel like I could just go back to normal life kind of instantly. I think I'll kind of need to wind down somehow, you know, whatever that is. And also I've become so accustomed to just being on my own, that maybe I'll have to feed people back into my life slowly, because I don't know. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Maybe I might just find it easy to go back to normal life. But yeah, I've got some more sort of adventure / endurance things I'm thinking about for the future, but they're just sort of pipe dreams at the moment.
Nice. So already thinking about future plans.
I mean, the most recent one that I'm getting very excited about is I've just been like thinking about like Mark Beaumont's record is so insane. I would love to try and beat it, but to beat it, I would have to, like, the amount of money involved, the amount of training involved. Physically, obviously I'm not there yet. Physically, I think I can do it. Mentally, I don't know. Probably, you know, maybe. But I bet that's kind of what I've been planning, getting excited about, is thinking about, you know, in 2 years' time or something, putting a team together, trying to get sponsors.
Wow.
But it's a serious pipe dream, because I would have to cycle like 420 kilometers a day for 76 days or whatever, you know, 77. Yeah, it
requires
would be a big
level of support, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's an amazing ambition. It's an amazing feat. I was looking at have you seen the transcontinental race, which seems to be gaining popularity recently?
I've heard of it. I haven't ever actually like followed it though. No.
Yeah, it's just interesting because it seemed like it's sort of like people have to realize, I think, that it's beatable. That sometimes the records seem to just drop like by huge amounts. Obviously, there's a difference between unsupported and supported with Mark, and the fact that he sort of went for both at different points in his life. But with the transcontinental race, I haven't really followed it too closely, so I don't know the exact details. But basically, you know, people have been doing it for years. This year it comes in popularity. Someone came in and basically did the equivalent of Mark's around the world trip, that he was doing like 400, 500 kilometers a day for the first few days and sleeping in hotels, whereas everyone else, you know, camps out and has done it like however many, 200 kilometers a day, 300 kilometers a day. It just took someone to kind of try that new thing to just completely upset the record in that respect. But yeah,
that's the thing. Once someone goes to that length, once someone puts in that much work and like takes their body to like the absolute limit, I feel like 400 kilometers a day is somewhere very, very close to the absolute limit. And once someone does that, once someone's brave enough to do that, like, you can't even compete unless you are willing to just put yourself in the bin, basically. You got to just like accept you're going to be in pain for a long time, you know, during and after. So
yeah.
So what do they? So transcontinental goes from where to where?
I'm going to show my ignorance here. I don't actually know, but it's across Europe. I believe it's across Europe, and it's a set. It's maybe a set course. I don't know. I should know more about it. It is, but it's. I've been surprised at its popularity. I mean, I was saying before we jumped on the call, I was watching some GCN videos. Like, I've been following channels like that for a while, and it's all about, you know, road bikes. But in the last at least in the last year or so, I've just seen a huge explosion in people really going nuts about bike packing, and they're doing videos where they'll go to Morocco and cycle into the mountains and all this kind of stuff, all the stuff that we're doing, but on a kind of a, you know, a trip level, and with, you know, with a road bike with a, you know, an appy bag on the back or something, which I think is amazing. It's amazing how accessible it is now to kind of do that. And a lot of airlines, especially if it's shorter haul, will put the bike on for no extra cost. And then at the same time, these races like transcontinental are becoming more popular, where before it was a bunch of crazy nutcases. Like, why would you ever want to spend like a week racing across Europe, feeding yourself along the way, doing your own navigation along the way? Now it seems to be somehow a more popular thing. Yeah,
I think it's been made more glamorous. I do know about the guy that you're talking about that just did it. I've forgotten his name. Lee. It's Lee someone, I think. But yeah, he smashed it. Yeah, I think he was doing about the same. I think before that it was Sean Conway. And he did it averaging like 100 and 160, 170 miles a day. But yeah, like sleeping in a tent and all self-supported and everything. I think he's just snuck it in before Lee Timmis, I think it is.
Nice. You know what?
Yeah. No, I didn't. No, my phone's there.
Oh, right. Oh, I see.
I think he snuck it in because Lee was going to do it supported. Yeah, obviously he smashed it. Yeah, he did a good job.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it feels like if you were the first person to realize that actually, if you just didn't take anything with you except a credit card, it kind of changes the spirit of it, I suppose, is the other argument. Like, is it truly the same thing if you're just staying in hotels? But I suppose the endurance feat stands by itself in those respects, doesn't it? It just does mean that the race splits a little bit between the sort of bearded campers who are cooking their own cuppas in the morning versus those that are just on a tri bike with a credit card.
Exactly. I mean, personally for me, like, it's been great. I've kind of explored, like, been experiencing both because I'm not, I have quite a lightweight setup, I suppose, relatively compared to yours. Obviously, I'm like 20 kg lighter. So that must suck for you. But then, sometimes you have really, really fast days when it's flat. I can average, a really, like 30 kilometers an hour or something like that. But then I also have the option of being, obviously I'm not bearded, but being the sort of nomad traveler kind of thing where you're in a tent and you've got your tin of like cold beans or whatever. But then obviously tonight I'm staying in a hotel. So it's nice to have the best of both. For me personally, I don't know about you, but for me, it's the like endurance side of things, like feeling the pain at the end of a day, but it's kind of like the triumph. So like 165 today, I kind of like strolled pretty lazily into the hotel. My legs they don't burn, they're just like tired. But I love that feeling of like you have just cycled from here to here, that's a big mile. I just love that feeling. Like I just love knowing that. And for me, the adventure side is important because it's a real motivator as well. But I just kind of like the, I don't know, sense of achievement, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible what you can achieve with such little stuff, really. I totally agree. It's a very rewarding thing. I don't think I would have got this far if I didn't totally agree with you there. It's an amazing feeling.
Was your plan always, has your plan changed since you left? Has your plan changed much?
In certain ways, but I mean, mine, because my plan has always been more of a lifestyle change than a set goal. Like I haven't got like a set, I don't need to get around or want to get around the world in X number of days, for example. And I'm very lucky in that I don't necessarily have to be back with the ability to stop and open my laptop and get work done. So mine was very, very consciously that kind of slow approach, really. So my original plan when I left was to take at least 2 years and work 6 months each year and cycle for 6 months each year. The way it's fallen has been very different, actually. I've tended to cycle for a month to 6 weeks, and I've worked for longer periods of time mostly. But I think it's just because I'm finding my way a little bit. It was a lot harder to kind of get work and keep work than I thought it would be when I left. So I've spent more time sitting, which is a bit frustrating, waiting to kind of work out what jobs I'm going to do freelance wise and things. But now I'm settling in a bit more. In the new year, I'll have maybe 2 months solidly cycling to get around and out of India and see the Himalayas and things like that. The main things that have changed, which is the same for you, I think, is the inability to get an Iranian visa without having an escort, which is a real shame. I was really looking forward to cycling through Iran.
Me too.
And then other than that, I haven't actually, like I say, I haven't got plans for parts of the rest of the world. I'm just trying to see how I go along the way.
I can let you know.
Yeah. But for me, I mean, the reason for me leaving was really just the adventure and the lifestyle change. I haven't got like necessarily like charity or sponsorship element to it, which is an interesting thing to discuss with you. Like, what is your reason for leaving personally, but also kind of sponsor wise and brand and charity wise? You've got links, right?
Yeah. So what was my reason for leaving, like personally? What like drove me to do it?
Yeah.
Drove me to do it. It sounds like I murdered someone. The reason what I'm gonna like it was Mark Beaumont's book again. I know I've mentioned I'm a bit of a fanboy, as I think you are as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I read his book when I was 15, his first one, when he went around the world solo and unsupported. And that just like, that was the most exciting thing I'd ever read. Like, it was just unbelievable. Like the limits he took himself to, the planning he had behind it, and just like the idea of like you are on your own cycling through these incredible places. I couldn't think of anything more exciting. And then I didn't really think about it for a while. I didn't really like look at it at all or like read the book or anything again. I just like went through school and university kind of not with no direction really. I guess I played football a lot for university, but I didn't have so much of like a drive, because maybe I was just kind of stuck in that sort of school system that's obviously I think is kind of broken. And I was thinking about, I have to go work in an office, or I have to try and earn as much money as I possibly can. And then I sort of came across the book again. It was on my bookshelf or something like that. And this was after uni, when I started my job. And I saw the book and I read it again. I was like, oh my goodness, like I forgot this is my dream. This is what I've always wanted to do. I would have loved it if he hadn't broken the record and put it 80 days, because I would have loved to have had a go at like doing it in 150 days or something and trying to beat that record he set 10 years ago. And the records people have set since. So I kind of balanced it out, I suppose. I decided it's going to take 10 months, 18,000 miles. And once I realized that, I was so focused, I just quit my job. I moved home. I got a job at home, so I didn't have to pay any rent. And it was just like a more sort of stable environment to be in, to plan, and to like prepare myself mentally. And then once I sort of sorted that out, I realized that, and sorted sponsors as well. Energy Generators, company I was working for, shout out to them. Let me see. Jinglish. This is my friend George's gin company, future gin company. Cosmetic Courses, Adrian Richards. This is my stepdad's company, Premier Consultants. Shout out Premcons. Do you have have you had this 060 map?
No, I haven't.
So I think I sent you the link for that tracking map.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, these guys make the map. A guy called Anthony does. It's awesome. Really, really good. Not too expensive either. And yeah, works perfectly. And it draws this like really clear thing. I have this. I'll get it out. So this Garmin, basically every half an hour, I think it's Garmin Explorer, I think it's called. Every half an hour that sends up like a signal. You set it to 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. Sends up a signal and then sort of plots your location, and he sets it up so that it like correlates on the map. It's perfect. It stops my mum from worrying too much, because as long as she knows that that's moving at the right time, then I'm not dead. So yeah, it's good. So yeah, once I sort of sorted that out, I kind of realized that through like pursuing my dream, and I was very like thankful to have kind of realized, after not having too much direction, realized like this is it. Like it just felt like the perfect thing, the exact right thing to do. So I thought, I can help a lot of people at the same time. So I have two charities that I am raising money for. One is the Jack O'Donnell Foundation. So Jack O'Donnell was a guy in the year above me at school. I wasn't like friendly. I didn't know him. Some of my mates were friends with him, but he was an excellent sportsman. You know, really, really nice guy. From everything I've been told, and his family are lovely as well. And they basically set up a foundation, sort of in his name after he died, that funded, or it still does fund, kids sort of less financially advantaged. For example, if you had a child and you couldn't pay for their tennis lessons or for them to go and compete in the national championships or something like that, you would apply to this foundation and they would basically fund that. I loved that because it had a link to the school I went to. And also I love the fact that it in a way sort of nullifies that lottery at birth. You know, if you're born into a family that's got millions and millions of pounds, you're never going to have to worry about where your tennis racket's coming from or your football boots coming from. Whereas this foundation, I think, just do amazing things, because for me, sport was the most important thing when I grew up, and if that is the case for anyone else, I think they should also have that opportunity to get involved, and if they find their thing, they find their dream through that, amazing. You can't. I can't.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and then the second charity is sponsor a Gambian child. So I went to the Gambia when I was 17, I think, on a school trip. So one of the teachers, or the teacher that organized it, Mrs. Kendall, she runs a charity called Sponsor a Gambian Child. And basically what that does is funds, it pays for the school fees, school equipment, uniform, all of this stuff, for a couple of schools in a town called Brikama in the Gambia. I mean, when I went there, they sort of in a material sense, they had very little. And I just thought, the way that they hosted us, their smiles and everything like that was incredible. And I've always wanted to give something back to them. Again, it's got a great link to my school. So before I left, I went and did a few sort of talks at my secondary school and tried to get them, excited and stuff like that about it, and try and get them to help raise some money as well. Try and inspire them, I guess, is what I was trying to do. I don't know if it worked. But yeah, those are the charities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so where can people go to support the charities and also to follow you and the rest of your trip?
Instagram is sort of where I post everything. And I think most of it, I think most of it goes onto Facebook as well. There's like an automatic switch thing that I think is meant to move it across to both. But Facebook or Instagram is basically where you'll find anything. It's Prestige WorldRide. I think the camera is backwards, but Prestige WorldRide. For anyone that has seen Step Brothers, it's a play on Prestige Worldwide. I did wonder. Yeah, it's a weird name. It's a weird name. But yeah, and then there'll be a link in my bio to go to the website. And then there's a massive
donate also under this video as well, and on the podcast page, so you can go straight there.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no worries, and yeah, thank you so much. I'll let you get a shower and some food if you haven't already. It's so awesome that you can talk from a hotel room just via mobile phones. Technology is absolutely awesome these days.
Yeah.
And
thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been good to chat to you and some other crazy guy as well in perfect English. Mostly. Yes.
We can share a story. And if I'll be sharing this video, as I'm sure you will later on. This is the first time I've sort of interviewed another cyclist. So as I've asked you, I'm keen to hear anyone else adventure travel wise that you'd like to get on the podcast. If you want to get more of them, more interviews like this, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/benbowler, and comments below for who you'd like to see. Obviously, the end goal is to get Mark Beaumont on, so we can work up with enough podcasts where people say how amazing of an influence he was, then maybe we can get him involved later down the road.
Don't tell him that I said I was going to try and break his record. Don't tell him that. That's
no, I won't. All right, we can keep that one a secret. I'm sure he's not watching now anyway.
Well, I don't know.
So, yes, and yeah, go on.
Yes,
and I'll be back on Tuesday with my chat with Dan, and then hopefully before the new year arrives, I'll have corralled another fellow crazy cyclist to have a chat on the podcast. So farewell.
Thanks, mate. Nice to speak to you.